Passion, romance, schmeckshiness. Rumba conjures up so many connotations through its character and musicality, as well as its rhythm and actions. Rumba is commonly referred to as the dance of love. Which, come to think of it, reminds me of my younger years of dancing as a teenager and hearing my teacher telling me to look at my partner as if I loved her, or something or other. It was a time full of all kinds of awkwardness and weirdness. Much like watching Neil Jones on Strictly Come Dancing. Poor Neil. Moving on. Today we're going to be looking at Rumba and some of its core principles. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Dancers Hideout, the place where you'll find all the tips and tricks to help you in your dancing. My name's Ian, I'm a professional teacher and former competitor with over 30 years of dancing experience and teaching. When we think of Rumba, we tend to generalise it as a slow dance. I mean, it is. It's one of the slowest in Latin American dancing actually. But like I said in the open, it is commonly referred to as the dance of love. This tends to mean that it becomes one of those dances that's more popular with the ladies.
Are you the key master?
Not that I know of.
Than it is with the guys.
You serious?
But don't worry gents, I am here to help you feel all kinds of weird, strange sensations. Anyway, Rumba is more of a body dance, unlike Cha-Cha, which is more of a stepping kind of dance, and Samba, which is a rhythm dance. This point is actually really important because it underpins everything that the Rumba is about, and yet you'd be surprised how common it is for this point to actually be missed.
Hi.
Okay. So, just for reiteration, okay, and padding the run time, Rumba is a body dance. Using body actions to accentuate rhythm and movement is one of the main features of Rumba. Like my feigned attempt to run on the treadmill at the gym, where I lack both body movement and rhythm. That's why there's a cross trainer, people. This is because it is actually a slow dance though, but it is also because of the more clearer accented beats that are identified within the music on both counts 2 and 4, as these are the two main beats which correlate with the music and rhythm of Rumba. In Walter Laird's book, so humbly titled The Laird Technique of Latin Dancing, states in the time signature section for the Rumba that the time signature is 4/4, with percussive accents associated with the second beat, slight, and the fourth beat, predominant, of each bar. The dance should be started by taking a step on the fourth beat of a bar of music. The musical accents which are identified within the Rumba music on both beats 2 and 4 are what give it its character, its style, and its overall quality. Let's go straight into the infographics here. We can break the body down into 5 clear sections: the head, the body and torso, the hips, the legs, and the feet, as shown from the infographic here on the screen. We did recently cover the hip section of the body, including hip actions for Latin in a recent video, so feel free to click the link on the screen to see that video.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
When we look at the body section or torso section in our body infographic here, we can see that for Latin dancing, the body is responsible for body actions and accentuating rhythm, which sadly can't be said for those flies that get stuck in your house. You know the ones. They'll buzz from room to room like one of those annoying space invaders, only to find themselves repeatedly bumping into one of those glass windows. This is until you will yourself up from your comfy spot and use your immense physical prowess and power.
NANI?
To open the window and release it from its own misfortunate captivity. You see, it's exactly the same. Why is this important? Because in order to create a movement in Rumba, i.e. dance steps, it's required that we use our body to help shift our weight in order to create those steps, or a corresponding hip action. Like I mentioned earlier, this is because Rumba is one of the slowest dances in Latin America. Like that one co-worker who's not so good with the uptake of your quick wit and has to ask you like 7 more times to repeat that joke just because they've not heard it but everybody else in the room has heard it. The moment has passed. Move on. Let's go through some examples of how we can apply this information. And just like when I skipped through that on the last episode section of the TV series that I happen to be watching,
Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
we're going to be skimming through some of the other related details that are involved, just so that I can focus on showing you the body actions that we're going to be using. But what body actions should we use? The infographic here on the screen helps highlight that we can create body actions from one of three areas, either from the shoulders, the rib cage, or the lower center, or belly button. Not all of the different body actions that we're about to go through can be used in all of the three areas that we've just looked at then, so it requires a little bit of working out as you're playing around with these ideas. There are 6 types of body actions that we can use in Latin dancing, and these are squeezing actions, rotation actions, isolation actions, these are the main ones that we'll be focusing on today, inclination or sway actions, extension and flexion actions, and contraction actions. For today, we're going to just focus on using the isolation action. A disclaimer, treat the use of these actions like a volume on a stereo that ranges from 1 to 10. So 1 being the lowest amount and 10 being the largest amount. You can use as much or as little as you want, just don't use 0, okay? Okay. So let's go through an exercise to help us here. For stage 1 of this exercise, start with the body in a 0 position and the hips also in a 0 position. By stretching the left rib to the left, this will create an isolation to the left. By releasing this movement, we can return back to 0 position. We can then repeat this action on the right side by moving the right rib to the right and then returning back to 0 position. We can then move the rib cage as a whole going forward, shown here from the side so that you can more easily see it, and then back to 0 position. And then we can finally use the whole of the rib cage moving backwards before returning back to 0 position.
Nice.
This creates 4 points on a compass, or if it's a clock face for instance, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So we'll go left, right, forward and backwards as shown from the infographic here on the screen. Stage 2 of this exercise has us isolating the rib cage on the diagonal positions and then returning back to 0 position. So we can isolate the rib diagonally forward and to the left and then back to 0 position, diagonally forward and to the right and back to 0 position, diagonally back and to the left and back to 0 position, and diagonally back and to the right, returning back to 0 position as well. This again creates another 4 points on our little compass analogy. So if we were to describe this would go forward and backwards and from left to right. These directions we would call out as numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4, as it makes it a lot easier to try and call out as well as to try and do as well. For simplicity, we're going to leave out stage 3 of this exercise because that's the last part of it, because we don't need it for today, and also I don't want to add unnecessary information here. Here's the 8 points of the compass for isolation, shown here on our infographic. When we go through each one, we would go left, right, forward, backwards, and then using the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 on the diagonal position. It's worth pausing the video here just to have a go at those exercises. Don't worry, I'll wait. Arrivi, prenotazioni. Oh, you're back. Like I said before, treat the use of these actions like a volume on a stereo, ranging from 1 to 10, 1 being the smallest amount, 10 being the largest amount. You can choose how little or as much you want to use, just don't use 0, okay? As that appears to be reserved for soft drinks. Seriously, there's like loads of them now. Before we continue with the basic movement in Rumba, let's hear what Barbara McCall has to say on the Rumba from Wally Olney's book, Dance Addiction. We have 4 beats in 1 bar of Rumba and 3 steps. 1 beat is used solely for body action. The reason why I say body action and not hip action is today we are trying to improve our hip movement, and at the same time we have become much more aware of body posturing. I feel that to maintain the posture is a priority. It is no good having all the movements and rhythm with a slumped over body. Here Barbara is actually raising a very important point. We can't really utilise the full efficiency of our body actions in Latin if we have terrible posture. Just like the time I was minding my own business in the gym and this overly buff guy was telling me how I was running funny, and then proceeded to then tell me about how to run more correctly because he thought I was running too funny for like 15 minutes. It went on for like 15 minutes, guys. I was on a cross trainer, not a treadmill, but I really didn't have the heart to tell him that, and I was a little intimidated.
Yeah, boy, out me. Yeah, boy.
Anyway, when we want to use hip actions and body actions, like what we're talking about today, it's very important that we do maintain our posture, because this is the central line of where we're coming back to when we're creating these different type of movements. This aspect, coupled with all the other details that we've mentioned today, help the lady dancers feel more free and expressive in rumba, and help the leaders feel more clearer and somewhat stronger in their overall movements that they're making. Like I said, it's a volume from 1 to 10. Do as much or as little as you like. Alright, we put it off long enough now. Let's go through the rumba basic movement and apply the body actions that we've been talking about from today's video. I'm showing here the step pattern and footwork for the leaders. Start by having your weight on your left foot and then transfer your weight to the right foot over beats 4, 1. You then step forward with the left foot on beat 2, replace the weight backwards onto the right foot for beat 3, step to the side with the left foot for beats 4, 1. You would then step backwards with your right foot on beat 2, replace the weight onto beat 3 with the left foot in going forward, and then 4, 1 to the right. This then puts you in the correct position to then recommence doing that movement again, or maybe you're going to dancing to something different, but we're just talking about the basic movement here, so you can then continue with the leader's left foot going forward. For the ladies, you will dance the reverse of this sequence in front of your partner. Start with your weight on the right foot, as you see here. You would then transfer the weight onto the left foot on beats 4, 1 by stepping backwards on beat 2 with the right foot, and continuing with the remainder of the sequence, which the leaders use, only reversed, as you can see here. Here's the body action used by the leaders in the rumba basic. The isolation to the right happens on the and count, like I'd mentioned previously, and then the rest of the step happens over the course of beats 4, and then the settling action and rotation on beat 1. After dancing steps on count 2 and 3, the leader will then isolate the body on the and count again, but this time to the left, transferring the weight on step 4 and then settling the action with the hip rotation on beat 1. You will then continue dancing the backward basic action on beat 2, replacing the weight back again on beat 3, and once again using the isolation action of the right rib on the and count to help shift the weight to the side before stepping on beat 4 to the right and then settling both the weight and the hip action on beat 1. Again, pause the video here to have a go at that movement for yourself.
A few moments later.
Body actions in rumba help us better understand the steps that we are dancing. And so because rumba is a body dance, the body actions that we use here are a very important aspect of it. I hope today's video has managed to help shed some light on rumba and its corresponding actions. If you enjoyed today's video, then be sure to give us a like. We'll really appreciate it, of course. If you'd like to see more from the Dancers Hideout, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to ding the bell icon so you can stay notified from whenever we're putting out new videos and content. You can also drop down in the comments section anything that you found interesting from today's video, or maybe there's something you want to see in the future video. Let us know in the comments section. If you'd also like to help support the production of what we're doing here at the Dancers Hideout, then you can help support us via our GoFundMe page, the details of which I'll put down in that description section. Any contributions that are made will be greatly appreciated, and we can list you as a contributor in our credits section. Special thanks go out to these people here on the screen. In the meantime, I've been Ian, this is the Dancers Hideout, and it's been a pleasure.